Plants. The Green Frontier. These are the discussions of the podcast Horticult. Its continuing mission: to talk about strange new cultivars, to seek out new flowers and plant them, to boldly garden like no one has before. Hey, this is the Horticult. What's up, guys? I'm Blaine. And this episode is Insects, Friend or Foe. We get into the good and the bad insects, some that we might not think is good, some we might not think is bad, and how to identify those. So we want to fight the bad, help the good, ways that we can identify the bad ones. There's patterns that they leave behind on their plants that they're feeding on, and by that we can determine which, if we can identify what is hurting us, then we know how to fix it. And different ways we can do that, for snails, there's baits. You can put in a systemic herbicide. You can use cultural habits to prevent those little guys to being happy in your area. And then there's also biocontrols, so biological controls like the ladybugs. And then we get into the life cycle and how the life cycle of certain insects, the most destructive life cycle is typically the juvenile stage, so the growing into the adult stage. And that's when we want to attack them, is in that stage, so they don't get to the adult ones and lay eggs again. And then we talk about nematodes and how they're both good and bad. There we go, nematodes. Check them out. Pretty cool. All right, so let's get it on. I'm Blaine.
And I am B-Rad.
And we are the Horticult. Thanks for joining us. Actually, you're the Horticult too, suckers.
You little podlings, you.
Little podlings, you. So this episode of the podcast, we wanted to talk a little bit about friend or foe.
Friend or foe, insects.
Insects. What are good ones? What are bad ones? What ones you need to watch out for?
Yeah.
Biological controls. What we can use to help fight the bad ones.
And help.
Iffy.
And help the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what do you got?
So first things first, let's talk about earwigs.
Yeah, no problem. So I actually thought that they were kind of more of a neutral. But you're telling me that they're definitely a foe.
Yeah. And I mean, they do look scary, right? They've got those pinchers on their abdomen.
Little bastards.
You don't want them crawling in your ear, obviously, for good reason.
I think that's a myth.
It totally is. Anyway,
they stink a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe. See, I always thought that they were decomposers. Okay. So where you find them in bundles of leaves that have fallen under a log that is decomposing or whatever, but you're telling me they eat live plants.
Yeah, and I think maybe one of the reasons why it might seem as though they're detritus eaters is because they love very damp and moist areas. So under the leaf thing, you're going to find them under mulch, under bark, things like that. But they're almost always going to be at the base of plants. And because what they do, as they are nocturnal, they'll come in the middle of the night, they'll climb up the stem, and they will skeletonize the leaves of your plants. And, there's some plants that are a little bit more tasty than others to these guys, but just so you know, you can identify what is chomping on your plant, on your plant, based on the pattern in the leaves or the stem or the flower. And so, identifying earwigs, you'll rarely, if ever, see them because it's always a nighttime feast for them. But the look is a skeletonized, if that. Yeah. Kind of a netted pattern of chompings.
So is there a plant or something they're more attracted to, or they just kind of anything goes kind of a deal?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's kind of like the same question as do deer-resistant plants repel deer?
Yeah, it's kind of a hit and miss.
Yeah, I'm thinking if they're hungry, they'll eat
into
it. They're into it, yeah.
I do know, you mentioned it, like a way to get rid of them, if you know that there's an issue, that you don't need to lay down a pesticide for them, or insecticide. You can roll up some paper, like a newspaper. Who gets a newspaper? But if you have a grandma who still gets a paper, go over there, grab some paper, roll it up, and wet it out, and lay it around the plants that you are knowing that it's getting into, and they will come in and hide in the day in those, and then you can just chuck the newspaper because they'll go and hide in that moist, woody material.
Right.
Paper.
Yeah, paper. What's that?
But that's what I've heard, that you can get rid of them.
Yeah.
You might have to do it more than once.
Yeah.
But and then you just chuck the paper away.
That's a great
get rid
idea.
of them.
Yeah. Let's see, another one that I think a lot of people have struggles with, we can make perfectly clear, is snails and slugs.
Yeah.
And the reason why I bring that up is because there's a few people that I know in my own family who think they're cute, and that they could be a pet, I guess, in some sort of a way. But snails definitely do damage.
Yeah.
To the plants, and similar to. Yeah, they're
wet. They hide in the wet spots or whatever.
Yeah.
They're pretty easily controlled, though. Or are they kind of hard to control?
Well, I think I would say, man, there's options. There's options of control, but I think for a lot of people, it's just so frustrating, especially in areas that's really, really wet around the country, or during the wet season for us. And you're just stoked about your plants, and you go out the next morning and 3 of them are missing.
Yeah.
They've just been chomped like crazy, and it doesn't take very many snails or slugs to just annihilate gardens.
Yeah, my grandma, she has a lot of snails. When they pop out when it's raining, and that's when you can really see them. But there are molluscicides or snail bait.
Yeah. Diatomaceous earth.
Yeah, they go that are specifically for them. But yeah, I would think there's 2 ways to not get them. 1, don't water that much. 2, don't get things that they like hostas. They love to decimate hostas. I love hostas, though, so it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Do they make a systemic that you can use to kill snails?
I'm sure there is, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there is.
I don't know if you want to use that, though.
Yeah.
It's just, that's a tough one to be organic on that one.
Mm-hmm. Beer? Oh, there's beer. You can do like the little cups of beer.
They'll go to the beer.
Oh, yeah. They'll drown in that. And so there's that option. There's diatomaceous earth. There's the snail bait. There's copper strippings.
Do you do copper around?
Yeah, like around like a valuable tree, say like a shrub, with magnolias and things that are really ornamental, whatnot. But that does work. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of input into that one, but anyway. So yes, slugs and snails.
It's not a huge problem, I don't think, for us because we're so arid.
It's a lot less of a problem here for sure.
Yeah,
totally agree. Okay, let's move on to another buggy bugger.
Friend or foe?
What's a real common...
you just want to pick one?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I say friend, but that's...
You want to do a friend?
Totally.
Freaking obvious one is ladybugs.
Yes.
Because they are carnivorous little bastards.
Yeah.
And they will eat your little... what are they? Those little
the aphids.
Aphids.
Yeah.
They will clean house on aphids. You can buy ladybugs in the store and release them into your stuff, but there's no way to contain them.
No.
There's no way to keep them in your yard. So, and what actually eats more aphids than the adults are the larvae stage of the ladybug, which, go check that out to make sure, because it's a little funky little thing. You don't think ladybug when you see it. It's gray with some orange little spots on it, and it just has this weird crawly body.
Like a little mini alligator.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really wickedly cool, though. But those guys will decimate. And then they don't have the ability to fly. So if there's a way that you can get those more in your yard, that's what you want. Mm-hmm. But they'll, like, things that get a lot of aphids, roses, maple trees are susceptible. There's a lot of things that can benefit from having a lot of ladybugs. It's a prey to predator ratio that will happen. So if you have a lot of aphids, they're going to come in to eat it. So it's just how much you want to deal with it.
Yeah.
A lot of the times aphids will not totally kill your plants. They will have damage, visible damage, but they're not going to kill it. So that's one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Another friend is the lacewing, and if to try to let people out there know what this thing looks like, it is a lot of the time you'll find the lacewing near light, like dead, near light sources. So if you have like lights on your garage or in the front of your house or whatever, and you're going and you're brushing off the bugs that kind of are attracted to that, they're a lot of the time you'll find them there. They're green in color. They're about a ½ inch in length, and they're beneficial. They will go around and they will eat aphids and all of the other nasty bugs that can devastate your yard. I mean, obviously they're not going to eat an earwig. They're going to eat more of the soft-bodied pests to your plants, and so whitefly, aphids, that type of those type of buggers. But anyway, that's the lacewing.
And obvious stuff is like earthworm.
Totally faux. Wait,
Totally
what?
faux.
No, I was just kidding.
Kill them buggers.
Faux pas.
No, those are like wonderful. So
yeah, that's right. They aerate the dirt.
And
really.
when you were telling me this before, like when we were talking about, I think we were talking about aeration, and one of the ways is to to aerate the cheap way with earthworms by not using chemicals. I think that's how my dad did it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we didn't ever aerate, but we didn't ever use chemicals. We only used fertilizer once a year, and we always had a nice green lawn. Yeah. So I'm like, well, and we had a nice
little ecosystem going on. Yeah.
And we had snakes and little buggers running around. So
yeah, just allow all of that to take place. And
totally. We lived in a freaking jungle in the backyard there for a little while, but it was cool.
It's the bug jungle.
The bug jungle. So
there's another one too. I just want to bring up right quick that I think some people might have a hard time understanding that something beautiful, an insect that is beautiful, can also be harmful, and it's just the stage that insect is in, and that is our wonderful friends, the butterflies. Mm-hmm. They love butterflies, right? They're beautiful. And that's the adult stage of their life, but it's the larva stage, the caterpillar stage, that they can do some van damage.
Yeah.
And
well, you got to think, if it is attracted to that plant in your yard, that's what it's going to lay its eggs on. So if you have a butterfly bush, it's going to come to there, and that's where it's going to lay its eggs. That's where the caterpillars are going to be. They can't get too far, I think this is why people plant the milkweed in their garden. I mean, I call it milkweed, but I mean, there's ornamental varieties of it.
Mm-hmm. Asclepius.
Yeah.
That's the genus.
So then the butterflies are attracted to that, and they lay their eggs on that.
So maybe it's just a monarch. I don't know. Maybe I'm off on that.